All right, you guys, we're back and we're live. Welcome back to our daily live feed. As you are logging on, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all of the fun stuff when it comes to competing. And this evening, we will be previewing this coming weekend shows, though I will be at Masters Nationals going there tomorrow. So heading out. What's up? What's up? Yeah, say hello when you log on. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The platform is best, I think, on YouTube. So jump on over to YouTube. Then you can see comments. You can see a screen share, all of the fun stuff. Howdy, howdy. What's up, guys? And yes, say hello when you get logged on tonight. So as we're moving forward here this evening, we will be previewing Chicago. There's another show too, and we are going to go into it a little bit because as I started looking at it, and I have no idea how to pronounce the actual name of it. Is it Far Lotto? I don't know. And they've got writing all over it, so I don't really know what it is. The Far Lotto something in Spain. But we will talk about it because we've got a few people on there we should be looking at. What's up? But we'll talk about Chicago as well. We still don't have pictures from Atlanta, so I can't go into that, which also stinks because there are some girls that place top 5 in Atlanta that are competing in Chicago this weekend. And I would have liked to see their photos to be able to say a little bit about them going into this show. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens this coming weekend. But yeah, so Chicago is a big show. It tends to be pretty competitive, that kind of thing. So should be a good one. But yeah, as we're getting logged on here, like I said, we'll be at Masters Nationals this weekend. Next weekend, we do have Clash of the Titans. And then we also have a Sundays with Sean because then we go into Tampa Pro Week the following week after that. If you are going to Tampa, please let me know because we are putting together posing and all that kind of stuff too. So we can get all that coordinated there. Same thing in Nashville 2 weeks after that, coordinating all of that too. What's up, Megan? Megan's one of them that'll be there in Masters Nationals this weekend. And since you're here too, this is something to mention too. If you are competing at Masters, also hit me up if you want to do some posing. I know I have several of you that are coming to me for hair and makeup, so we will be doing that. So as far as names, yeah, we'll talk about that when we go into Chicago. I have a little bit of a theory on that, so we'll talk about that as we go into that. So posing, I'll kind of touch base with you guys. I'm going to be back and forth. So most of the girls that I'm working with are actually at the secondary host hotel. So that's I didn't realize I had a reservation at the main host hotel and I didn't even realize it until it popped up in my email. But because I have most of my girls at the secondary, I switched over to the secondary. So I'm over there. But with that, I will be coming back and forth. I got to get my steps in anyway. So I'll be going back and forth between the two. So we'll just kind of touch base. I'll be posing most of you guys on Friday because, most of you are going to be competing in bikini and wellness, but I do have some figure and women's physique as well. So, but yeah, so yeah, I just switched over because as I was talking to the girls, they were like, yeah, we're staying at the secondary. I was like, okay. So, and again, I had a completely different reservation. I didn't even know that I had one at Station Square until, like I said, until I got the email. And I was like, oh, I actually reserved a room here. Okay, cool. So then I kind of had my pick of where I wanted to go. So I went and just kept it at the secondary. So, so yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, it's not a big deal. Walking back and forth, I do that anyway. I actually I'll be honest with you guys. So I go to Pittsburgh. I go to these Pittsburgh shows 2-3 times a year at least. All of them that are in the Station Square. I actually like staying off site. I actually like staying off site. So I don't know if you guys have done that. If you've gone to these shows, there are a ton of really cool hotels in Pittsburgh, like little boutique hotels and things like that. If you've never stayed at any of them, they're actually kind of fun. So I was at was it last year? I don't know if it was last year, if it was the year before. I went to the Joinery Hotel, and that was actually really cool. Small rooms, but it's like a boutique hotel and very like historical and all this kind of stuff. So I actually enjoy that. Sort of super easy to walk across. Yeah, Pittsburgh's easy to walk across the bridge. Absolutely. Yeah, I like staying off site at those shows. I do. Station Square's nice and everything. Don't get me wrong. It's actually put together really nice. They accommodate the athletes really nicely and things like that too. But it's kind of nice to get away from everybody too. So, right. Yeah. If you're competing, quick little Uber ride back and forth, you're good to go. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's actually fun to walk back and forth. Yeah. I did say that last year. Yep. I enjoyed staying off site. So, it's kind of, like I said, like Pittsburgh is one of those cities that's been around forever. So they have some really cool little places and stuff in there, and they are all within walking distance. Now, again, if I was competing, I wouldn't be walking because of the tan and all that kind of stuff. Totally understand that. But as a non-competitor, then there's actually, what is the name of the gym? I always forget the name of the gym, but it starts with an E, and it's right near the Wyndham Grand, which is the secondary host hotel. It's like a block from there, and it's a really nice gym. So I go there every time I go to Pittsburgh now in order to train because they have a really nice setup there. They got everything that you can need. It's not a hotel gym; it's an actual gym. And they're pretty cool. Like the last time I went there, I think they do day passes, but they didn't charge me because I was there for the show, stuff like that. So they're actually really cool with all of that. So I'm almost home from driving there. I'm back today to check in. My son's birthday is tomorrow, so I had to be home for him. Oh, wow. You drove back and forth? Jeez Louise. Why did you do that? My goodness gracious. Oh, my God. Yeah, you're the one that leaves before and drives home the night of the show. I don't do that. I do. Okay, so I take that back. I will do that in Pittsburgh at these shows because I'm there usually for 3 or 4 days. And I just want to go home. But typically I don't do that. Typically I just hang out, go get dinner, enjoy myself, all that kind of stuff. But again, I'm not there for freaking 4 days usually, other than these shows. Like North Americans is going to be a really long show because it's not only the amateur portion, but then there's also the pro portion, the world championships after North American. So North Americans is going to be a long ass show, you guys. Long. I just looked. Actually, I booked it just in case. I'm considering doing there's a little apartment, 1-bedroom apartment for the weekend of North Americans, because it's got kitchen, it's got a living room, it's got all the setup and everything like that right there in downtown Pittsburgh within walking distance. So I did book it. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. We'll see. We'll see. But I think that would be kind of cool to have a little apartment for like 4 days because I'm going to be there for a while. But anyway, all of this said, let's get into tonight. We're talking about host hotels and stuff. So let's talk about our shows. So like I said, unfortunately, we still can't wrap up Atlanta because we don't have photos. So I saw little bits and pieces of stuff pop up on social media. So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit when we go into Chicago. But before that, I do want to preview the Spain show. Because there's a few people to be watching in this one. And I think it's kind of cool to see this right about now because we're seeing some of these girls from these foreign countries that have come here to the States and actually done well here in the States. So now there are people that we're looking at that are over there, right? And some of these I might have missed their names as well. So I'm sorry about that if I missed you, but there's a few that actually popped out to me. So I did pull them out. First one that I pulled out, this is Savannah. So Savannah actually, as you can see, went to the Olympia this past year. So I didn't really look through her photos here. So let's take a look real quick and just see what she looks like here. I actually can remember her suit because of that black and red. Not a huge fan of the black and red when it comes to bikini like this because it just looks like wellness to me. To me, this looks like her waistline's a little thick, that kind of thing. Just looks like a little bit too thick in muscularity. again, the black hair with the black and the red and all that kind of stuff looks a little bit hard to me. Looking at her here, you can see she's got vascularity going through her calves and everything like that. And I know just from looking at these Olympia shots before, the Olympia shots made girls look softer than they actually were. And she doesn't look soft at all. You can see she's got that hard quad here, that kind of thing. So, my thought process here, she's probably just got a little bit too much muscle, a little bit too much density, that kind of thing. She didn't place at the Olympia, but we'll see. This might be an okay look for this particular show, being Spain. So we'll see. Let me take a look and see if I can pop up a back pose. I don't think she's fully posed here. Hang on. There we go. I guess she is. So the first thing I would say with this pose is you can see the fingers on the outside. I pull the hands in. Just pull the hands in. We can't see any delts up here either because her hair is covering her. So make sure you get the hair off the shoulders so we can see the delts on the top. Glutes look good. Conditioning from the back looks good. But that could also be an issue because I feel like her conditioning from the front was a little harder. So this might have actually hurt her. This actually looks really good though. So this could be very competitive in this particular show. It could be a good thing for her. She could end up being in the top of this show. Just I can see why she didn't place at the Olympia, just from what we're seeing from these photos. Next one that I pulled up was Jessica Bruin. She, I believe, also went to the Olympia. Let me see. I think maybe last year. No. She's gotten close. That's what it is. She's gotten very close to the Olympia each year. As you can see, she's got second and third places, that kind of thing. Every time. It's like she's up in that top. But she has not qualified for the Olympia yet. This was her most recent package. So overall, I would say kind of same critique I just had for Susan. I think it was that we just talked about. She's just a little bit on the big side as far as muscle is concerned, muscle density. You can see the thickness, the density in her quad. See that quad sweep and how thick, dense that is. You can see it also in her shoulders. Whenever you're seeing this vascularity and kind of striation coming through the shoulders and through the bicep, that's too much for bikini. See the vascularity over here too. That's too much for bikini. So I just think she's a little muscular, but again, we're going into a European show. These, in Spain, these shows, they do tend to reward a little bit more muscle, a little bit more conditioning, a little bit more density. So this could end up being good for her. I'm not a fan of the suit. I don't like, again, going back to the weird colors with bikini. Like I've had girls ask me for this kind of look with their bikini, and I never do it because to me, it looks like she's got nipples on her suit. I don't like it. It looks like you can see it goes from the blue to the red to that light color in the center. And that light color just makes it look like she's got nipples on the front of her suit. So guys, that's just my thing. Like you guys know when I talk about like the wellness pie plates on their suits, I just don't like it. I don't like this look. And I'm going to tell you every time that I don't like this look. So again, you can get away with variations of this kind of thing in wellness 100%, but you can't, I just don't like it in bikini. I just think that in bikini, it just needs to be simple. It just needs to be an all over color. And I'm just not a fan of this, and it just doesn't do it for me. No nipples, guys, no nipples. But you see a lot of European competitors have suits like that kind of thing, it's just not, I'm just not a fan. So here's a back shot for her. And again, when we're looking at this, I just see a lot of muscle here, right? I see a lot of muscle for bikini. She's kind of straight up and down through that back. I would like to see this pose change a little bit just so that she can open this up a little and get a better V in. Again, the hands are out a little bit too far. Bring the hands in. But that's a lot of density and thickness in those glutes, right? So again, this might fare well for her overseas, but I can see why she's getting, those second places and things like that versus winning, because she's just got a lot of muscle, a lot of thickness right there. Okay, next girl that I brought up was Marioli. She's also been doing pretty decent this year, 8th place, 5th place. So she's getting up in that first call out. We've talked about her a few times. Let me find a good front shot. So we have talked about her because she's been getting those first call outs. Overall, she's got a good look. Conditioning is good, all of that. She's got to balance the upper body with the lower body. She doesn't have enough shoulder cap on the top to match her lower body. Now, this particular photo, she does look like she came down a little bit in the legs, but also this is the Governor's Cup that we just talked about yesterday. And I felt like that those photos all made the girls all look thinner than they actually are. So it could just be the illusion of the photo. But where I see she needs some work is the shoulder cap here. Now, she does look like she fixed this pose a little bit from the last time she was on stage. She opened up a little bit. The last show that we talked about with her she was really twisted to the side, and it didn't do her body a whole lot of justice. Opening up a little bit more definitely helped balance her a little bit, but she still just needs that shoulder cap here. I do think this is a better look than what she had at her last show. Still not a huge fan of this suit because I think the top's too small for her. I think she needs a bigger top. We're seeing chest out here, chest on the inside. It's just a little bit too much, revealing a little bit too much. But overall, the look is better here than what she had at her last show. Let's see if we get back shot. Here we go. I think this is her fully in her back pose, and I'm not a fan of those hands if that's the case. Oh, we're going down a little bit with the hands. Okay, there we go. So be careful of that, guys. She just wasn't fully set in her pose, but we saw the hands on the elbows up, and then we saw the hands between the legs. Brandy, I called you out on this when we were actually practicing your posing the day before your show about bringing those fingertips in between your legs. Be careful about that. This is a lot better now that she's settled into her pose. I do think these suit bottoms are too small on her. We see tailbone up on the top. So I'd like to see the suit come down just a quarter of an inch here to cover up that bone right there. Overall, I think this is a good back pose. We see delts, we see that fullness and roundness in the glutes. I think she could do pretty well in the show, to be honest with you, up in Spain. Yep, sure did, Brandy. Yep. But again, I just think that overall she needs a different suit because this is just too small in the back and it's too small in the front. So I just like to see her cover up a little bit more. And I think that would be helpful and make her look a little bit rounder in the back, not quite so shallow on the top there. But yeah, she could be definitely a contender at this coming show. So I wanted to mention them. Now we do have wellness in this one as well. I didn't pull anybody up for wellness because I don't know any of these names. I just kind of glanced at them real quickly. And I should have probably gone through them, but I didn't. So I just want to give them a little bit of a shout here. I just didn't have time. I didn't have time to go through everybody today. So I didn't realize that that there was going to be a bunch of competitors in this show too that we should be paying attention to. So if anybody sees somebody here on this wellness lineup that we should be paying attention to, go ahead and type it into the comments for me. And I will make note and pay attention this coming weekend. But I will be paying attention to coverage of this show too, because again, we need to start paying attention to the girls that are outside of the U.S. Because they're coming into the U.S. and they're actually doing well, like we just talked about with the bikini girls we just talked about. So like Susanna, Jessica, Marioli, Devin. Okay, good. Well, if Devin doesn't know anybody either, then I don't feel so bad. I just don't recognize the names. So if I recognize the name, I'm going to pull her up, that kind of thing. I just don't recognize anybody. But, again, we're getting to know these newer pros, which is a good thing. And once they've competed a few times, then we can start talking about them a little bit. So just pay attention. Let's see what we got going on here. See if we got anybody that looks like they could be potentials. We've got people from all over the place: Mexico, Paraguay, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Costa Rica, all over the place. So let's pay attention. All right. So let's move over to Chicago. One We have wellness here too, which I didn't even realize. I should have pulled them up, and I didn't. So Devin, give me some wellness since you're here. Help me out with the wellness girls here. And I'll pull them up really quickly and pull their pictures up. We should be paying attention to anybody here. I'm looking at it too, and I'm just not, nobody's popping off the list for me. And who knows, maybe we'll have somebody that jumps in last minute, that kind of thing too. So, but as you can see, Chicago has a ton of classes. So Danny Theo, is she, let's see. Let me pop her into NPC News real quick here. Oh, there we go. We got her. Okay, cool. Is this a pro debut for her? Why isn't it pulling up her pictures? Well, all right. Well, we don't know what she looks like. But there we go. We should be paying attention to this name right here. So, unfortunately, we got nothing. Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing there. Oh, well. All right. I'll be paying attention to that name. Cool. All right. She competed in Europe last year. Okay. All right. Well, to be honest with you, I'm happy to see these new names popping up right now with wellness because we need it. We were complaining all year about how nobody's showing up. Well, now we got some new people showing up. So this is a good thing. So let's start paying attention to these girls. Let's pay attention to what they bring to the stage, and let's pay attention to what gets rewarded. Because, for a long time, we just had the same people competing over and over and over again. And now we're finally getting some new names. And I feel like the same thing is happening here in Bikini. We're seeing a lot of new names pop up. We're not seeing anybody that's just gonna win. You know what I mean? So taking that up to Bikini, Bikini is a big lineup. So Brandy mentioned, she's surprised not seeing big names on this list. I'm not. Brandy, I talked to you a little bit about this the other day when we were talking about picking shows going forward. Typically, Chicago is a tough show. Typically, Tampa is a tough show. But the reason for that was because we used to have tier systems. That was the biggest reason. And we had, put more points for those tier systems. Those are gone this year. We have no points. We have no tiers. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. You just go into a show. If you win it, you win it. If you don't, you get nothing. Right? So that's the biggest thing right there. It doesn't matter. Second thing is that these are not the final shows qualifying for Olympia this year, right? Olympia is in November this year. Typically Olympia is in September. So Tampa typically is the final show where people can compete and qualify for the Olympia that year. That has not been the case since we went through the whole pandemic, right? Since we went through the whole pandemic, everything has been flipped on its head. So Tampa still has been really competitive with our top Olympians, but that's because they were getting ready for the Arnold that was in September, that not this past year, the year before. And they were getting ready for the Olympia, which was in October. Now that's not happening, right? Now they got to wait till November. So we're not going to see these top Olympians come back until we get to September and October, right? They're going to start warming up for the Olympia in the next couple of months. Now, a few of them will probably come back to Tampa, right? I don't know what the status is right now, but I know for a long time that Daraja was saying she was going to come back to Tampa because she wanted to win that show to qualify. Daraja's not qualified yet, right? Top 3 in the Olympia automatically qualify for the next year. She did not qualify because she was 4th. So she still does need to qualify. And I know that she wanted to come back and do Tampa. So, that could be a big one. Tampa could end up being a big show. But we're going to start seeing all these girls who have been the top 10 in the Olympia start coming back at the beginning of August, into September, into October, when the cutoff is. Because most of them, and here's the problem too, most of them competed all year long, competed at the Olympia, didn't really have an off season because Olympia was in December this past year. So they're trying to take a little bit of break and now come back and qualify. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. These shows are going to be packed as you start getting deeper and deeper and deeper in the next couple of months. So anyway, going into that right here, what we have here is a pretty competitive list. Now, again, and the one I'm just looking at right now that I forgot to pull up was Ashley Hampton. So I'll pull her up right now. I know I didn't pull her pictures up. I have no idea when people are competing. So that comment about Jordan, I'm not sure. I don't know when people are competing. I'm waiting for them to just kind of pop up onto the lists. I know a lot of competitors nowadays, and I don't blame them, are just waiting until their body's ready, right? They're not picking a show. They're just prepping. And when they feel like they're ready, they're going to get into a show. And the last time I talked to Jordan, that is what she said. She said she hadn't really picked a show, but she was in prep. Maybe she's picked one by now. I don't know. But I think that's a smart move as far as letting your body tell you when to compete, right? So let me get rid of this one because this is the one that was not working. Is this? I wanted to pull up. So everybody calls her Mary. So this is an interesting one to me. Okay. She's done very, very well in the over 40 and over 50 categories because I believe at this point she's 53. I think she's 50, 52, 53, something like that. And again, she's won a lot of shows in the Masters category, but hasn't really done much in the Open category. Now, she did do Tampa and placed decent, not this past year, but the year before. But that was really because we had that was the year where we had Jennifer and Laura Lee and Issa and Daraja all competed. And once you got outside of that top 5, top 6, it was a big drop off as far as the competitiveness. So I know she placed well at that one, but it was pretty much all at that point. There was a few more that were not Masters competitors, but the rest were all pretty much Masters competitors after you got outside of that top 5, top 6 competitors. So she did place well there. But since then in the Open, she hasn't really done well. So I found this to be interesting. And I'm assuming she's doing the Masters category as well. Let me take a look here. But the reason why I think it's interesting, well, maybe where are we at? Yeah, she is. She's doing the over 50. Yes. But the reason why I found this interesting is because if I'm not mistaken, I think she's the only one in the over 50, and I'm just verifying this one, that's doing Open. I'm just verifying here. I'm pretty sure she's the only one in the over 50 category that's doing Open. Yeah, I don't see. I'm going back and forth on the list. Yeah, I don't see anybody else crossing over to the Open. So I'm curious to see how this works out for her. I'm curious to see if she places well here in the Open, or she may just take the Masters and be good and just want to see where she is competitively as far as being Open is concerned. But whenever somebody's up in their 50s and stuff like that, I'm always interested to see how they stack up and how they look next to Open competitors. So she's one to be looking at, and I just wanted to kind of point that out to watch and see where she lands. So let me pull her photo, her back shot up. Where are we at? There we are. That's not what I was looking at. There we go. And I mean, to be honest, she looks pretty competitive. So I'm curious. Again, I'm really curious to see how she looks. And I believe in this particular show, I think she was 51, maybe 51. I think this was last year. I don't know. But anyway, watch her. And let's just see how she compares in the Open. Because again, I think she's the only one in the over 50 that's doing the Open. So let's take a look at that. All right. So I pulled up Savannah. Now this was Republic of Texas. I believe that Savannah placed top 5 in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody help me out if I'm wrong. I think she did. Yeah, she did. So she placed 1, 2. She was either 3rd or 4th in Atlanta. Again, I wish I had photos of her to kind of show what she looked like in Atlanta, but we don't have photos. So I would say just pay attention to her. This particular show, I would say, let's see, we didn't look at her here, but probably just needs to tweak this front pose a little bit from Texas, twist the hip a little bit more. Looks pretty conditioned through the core. Maybe just soften up a little bit, but I don't know. That could just be the waistline being with the vascularity and things like that I'm looking at right here. Pretty good shape here and everything, but I would just take this hip bone and twist it a little bit. Let's look at a back shot. Yeah, and from the back, she's pretty good too. I really wish I had pictures from Atlanta. I would say from here, maybe a touch more condition, like just a touch. Looks a little bit soft through the hamstring, but not much. Like I wouldn't do a whole lot here. Maybe a little bit more condition, just a little, just like a half a pound, not a lot. I think the pose itself is good. I like her suit cut not being teeny tiny because her glutes aren't huge, but the fact that her suit cut covers all this in the back here helps to round her out a little. So I think that's actually really good. Yeah, I wish I had pictures from Atlanta, but we'll see what she looks like here in Chicago. Next one, I have Alessia up. So we talked about her going into Atlanta this past week. She did make first call out in Atlanta, but I think she placed 7th or 8th, something like that. And from what I saw from Instagram stuff and things like that, I would say she was still too conditioned. That was the problem in the Arnold. She was really, really, really hard at the Arnold, and it didn't look like she softened up at all going into Atlanta. From what I saw, she still looked just as hard. And it looked like she lost some of her curve in her glutes as well. Looked like she was kind of looking a little boxy through the waistline because I didn't see a whole lot of glute. Now, again, this is just based on stuff that I saw on Instagram, so I could be wrong. Just from what I saw, it looks like she needs to fill out a lot. Looks like she needs to put some size on her glutes, that kind of thing. I don't know. I wish I had more photos to go off of, but that's what I saw just from Instagram coverage and things like that. So if she wants to get up into those top spots here, she's really going to need to fill out. I did see her in person at the Arnold, and she was super lean, super conditioned. And from what I've seen from the Instagram coverage, again, I don't think that has changed. So we'll see what she looks like going into Atlanta. But I would say she needs to put some size on and some fullness on. But we'll see. She is already Olympic qualified because that particular show that I just had pictures up from, she won this one. So that was Singapore right before the Arnold. Next, we have Liana Gianamore. So if y'all remember her, she kind of busted out on the scene last year by taking a top 4 place at Pittsburgh, coming out of nowhere. From that point on, she placed really well throughout the year. Did not qualify for the Olympia. She was doing well collecting points, but she didn't get a win, and she just kind of shut it down. I think her body was just not responding much anymore, that kind of thing. She's coming back. So this, I believe, was her last show that she did. And my critique for her has always been that her waistline was just a little bit too thick. She had a little bit too much muscularity, a little bit too much legs, that kind of thing. She just needed to kind of streamline her balance. I wasn't a fan of the black suit. I think black was too hard on her. I think she had a burgundy red that was better. She went a little bit too dark on the hair too. It was just a little bit too much. She needs to soften it up a little, especially when you have a lot of muscle. Softening it up with some color, that kind of thing does help for sure. But she's been off stage for a while. So having that time off physically, mentally, is always good. She could be coming back to this show completely refreshed, completely renewed, completely reshaped. This could be a great show for her. So we'll see, but she's definitely one to be paying attention to because, like I said, I think a lot of people thought she was going to come out and she was going to qualify for the Olympia really easily after getting that top 4 placing at Pittsburgh, and she ended up not qualifying. So now that she's back, watch and see what happens. Let's see what she's done to improve her physique and her look from last year. And then we have Adair, who I would say is probably one of our front runners going into the show because she did just place second in Atlanta. She's gotten a few second places here. She's second at Toronto. She was third in Texas, fourth at DC Pro-Am. In my opinion, she's gotten better every show she's gone to. Again, I didn't see pictures in Atlanta, so I can't comment. I know some people have mentioned that they thought that her waistline was a little thick. I don't necessarily think her waistline is thick. I think she's got good proportions. I think it's just a matter of it's just the shape of her actual front pose and her frame in the front. I think that being next to Tara at the last show in Atlanta was actually helpful because they're both kind of put together similarly as far as the waistline and how their structures put together. So that probably bode well for her and also for Tara too, because their physiques were able to be compared pretty well. But like I said, I wish I could see some photos from Atlanta because I felt like Adair has been increasingly getting better each week. So I would like to see what she looked like in Atlanta to see if that had improved as well. But I would say she's probably one of your people you want to be paying attention to, and I would put her probably in the top couple of spots here. So definitely going to be looking at her. And I did pull up Lizzie Martinez because, again, she's one that's been getting into those first call outs. She did place top 5 at Atlanta. Again, if we had photos, we could take a look, but we don't have photos. So let's pay attention to her too. I think that I remember seeing a story about this Dallas show that she had some mishaps and stuff like that going into this show. So this wasn't one of her better looks. So I again wish we had pictures from Atlanta to kind of compare and see what she looks like now. But again, she's been in the top 5 several times since last year. She's been getting those top 5s, first call outs, that kind of thing. So be watching for her as well in this particular show. Let's see what she looks like coming out for Atlanta. She could definitely be up in the top 5 again. And last, we have Ashley Hampton, who, again, has been really close, gotten some second places, gotten some first places. My critiques for her have been, I thought we had front shot over here, have been just her initial show this year. She was a little bit too conditioned. She kind of fixed that a little bit. She's another one that has quite a bit of muscle from that front pose. Thickness, fullness, she got fuller at this show. But she's still pretty thick through through that density of the muscle. From the back, she needs more glutes in order to pop everything, but she's been doing a good job of adjusting to her frame and her physique. So she's definitely another one to be paying attention to. I think she was in Atlanta as well. I think she was top 5. Pretty sure. Let me see. I have a picture of the top 5 here. Yes, she was. She was 3rd, I believe, in Atlanta. So, she obviously did well there too. So again, wish we had some pictures to compare, but is what it is. We don't. So we'll have to hopefully get all those photos from Chicago. And then that way we can see what all these girls look like. So, yeah, the bikini girls are definitely taking over. And I agree that even the men's open is not a deep lineup. You're right. It's not. So it's not a big show in comparison to what it typically is. And like I've said before, at the beginning of this, I really think a lot of this has to do with timing. And I also think a lot of this has to do with the fact that there is no tier system anymore. There's no point system anymore. So people are only getting on stage when they're ready to come in and actually win it. But yeah, if you look up and go up to the to men's open, I mean, there's not a big lineup for men's open either, right? And I mean, a couple of good names, that kind of thing. But I don't know. Let's hope that all these people start coming out to play in like Tampa. You know what I mean? Because that needs to start happening here. One of the good things, like I've said before, is this is giving opportunities to girls and competitors in general who don't have names, right? Who don't have any kind of back history to them. So they're actually getting an opportunity to make something of themselves here, get noticed, win shows, that kind of thing. So that's nice. But I think we're going to start seeing these top players coming in. Brandy. I mean, I think Tampa could be a big one. I do. I do think that actually, and it's not men at Nashville Fit Show, it's all just bikini pros, but I do think that Nashville's going to be a big one too. If you remember, that's where Jennifer Dory got her qualification the year that she won the Olympia. That every year the pro portion of that has gotten bigger because it's an all-female show. So I do think that once we're getting into August, September, that kind of thing, we're going to see these shows just explode with these bigger names because then they're even closer to the Olympia and they can make adjustments going into Olympia as well. So for this show, for Chicago, who do you guys got? Who do you think is going to win Chicago? Pull that list up for you guys. Who do you got for the win? I'm not really going to pick a front runner here because I didn't see any of this stuff from Atlanta. So if I did, I think I'd be able to give a little bit of a better idea of who I think is going to be in that top spot. But I just didn't see anything from that. So that's why they're saying East is doing Texas, which is the same day as Nashville. Oh, maybe. Ashley, Michelle, if she fills out, maybe. Michelle? Are you talking about this Michelle? I even look at her. I don't know that name, so hang on. I always save the lives. So whoever commented that, they're always saved. Oh, this Michelle. Looking at her shots here. Michelle looks good. I remember looking at her. I think she needs to fix her posing more than anything from what I'm seeing. Yeah, she needs some more glutes. They're a little shallow. And she needs to fix her posing a little bit. I don't see her winning. She could potentially be a top 5 here, but I don't see her winning it. Yeah, no, she took 3rd at the Patriots Challenge, and then she took 7th at the Governor's Cup. She looks a little straight up and down to me. I don't really see her winning this. She could be a first call out top 5 girl, but I don't see her winning it. Yeah. I mean, she's got potential. She absolutely has potential. Beautiful girl, beautiful look, but she needs some more glutes. I mean, you can see just from this one photo that I got up right here, she's a little straight up and down. But like I said, she's got the shape. She just needs another layer of muscle on the glutes. Yeah. Yeah, Ashley took 2nd, but then this past week she took 3rd and Adair took 2nd in the same show. So Ashley took 2nd to Adair. So the thing that Ashley Hampton has to worry about is her muscularity in her front pose. She's just a little bit thick through the quads and all of that. She can be a little bit too conditioned, and from the back, her glutes aren't quite big enough in comparison to some of the other girls. If I was putting her and Adair up next to each other, I would probably put Adair ahead of her. But again, I could see I mean, who knows what Liana looks like right now? Liana could come back and just crush everybody, you know? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, like Brandy just said. I mean, depending on how Liana looks, I mean, she could come out and just completely crush this whole show. I mean, she could. It's hard to do that your first show out. It's hard to do that, but it's a potential for sure. So now with Alessia, the biggest issue is she just needs to add more size. She needs to add more fullness, some roundness. I was hoping because she had some time off that was going to be the case coming into this last show, and from what I saw, that wasn't the case. And if anything, it looked like she kind of lost even more size. So I don't know. If I was Alessia personally, I would get off stage and just really focus on adding some roundness and some fullness going into the Olympia. She's Olympia qualified. She doesn't need to compete anymore. She's super lean, always super lean. She needs some more fullness. So, I mean, if I was her, that's what I would be doing right now. But I'm not her, so I mean, I'm sure she has a reason why she's doing things. I get it. You know, I don't know everything. I'm just saying that's what I would be doing. So, I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see Liana come out here and just crush this and just be really great. Her first show out, I think that'd be fantastic. But this is really anybody's game. Again, these last few shows, we've been saying this is really anybody's game. Somebody's going to come out a winner, you know, somebody. We are going to get somebody new qualified for the Olympia unless Alessia wins it, which I don't see happening. I think Alessia will still be in the first call out, but I don't think she's going to win this. We'll see. All right, guys, that's it. I'm gonna let y'all go. I got to pack up and get everything ready to leave tomorrow morning for Pittsburgh. We will not be doing a live tomorrow because I will be in Pittsburgh and getting girls ready for the stage the next couple of days. But that's it. I'll update you guys as we go along. So pay attention on my Instagram. We'll be updating as girls get on stage. Hopefully we'll get some pro cards coming out this weekend. And that's it. That's it, you guys. Have a great rest of your night. I'll be back again live next week on Tuesday. And we'll wrap up these shows and see who actually comes out. Hopefully we'll have some good photos and things like that to go through. Thank you. It's a 3.5, 4-ish hour drive, depending on traffic and things like that. I do it so many times every year. I go to Pittsburgh at least once a month throughout the year. So it's a good little drive. It's backwoods. It's nice. So it'll be fun times. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. We'll see you back here next week. And that's it, guys. Have a good night.